If the universe was created by a divine being, why is there so much imperfection and suffering? What if our perceived reality is the result of a cosmic accident, a divine mistake that birthed our flawed existence? Could it be that the world we experience is not the product of a benevolent creator, but the consequence of a fall from grace within the divine realm itself? In this video, we will explore a radical alternative to traditional creation stories, the Gnostic myth of Sophia's fall. According to this ancient narrative, Sophia, a divine being of immense wisdom and creative power, fell from grace, and from her suffering, her longing, and her flawed vision, our imperfect world was born. The myth introduces us to the concept of the demiurge, an imperfect creator god, born from Sophia's compromised vision, who fashioned the material world, a realm far removed from the true, divine source. As we delve into this complex and fascinating story, remember that it is not just a tale of cosmic origins, but a profound meditation on the nature of reality, the problem of evil, and the potential for human transformation. At the heart of Gnostic cosmology lies the recurring pattern of divine emanation and fragmentation, a concept crucial to understanding Sophia's fall. The fall represents a fragmentation of the divine essence, a scattering of light into the darkness, resulting in the creation of the material world with all its inherent limitations and imperfections. Consider this fall not as a purely negative event, but as a vital creative impulse, the very source of consciousness and the catalyst for spiritual evolution. This perspective suggests that our existence, with all its struggles and imperfections, is not a meaningless accident, but a necessary stage in a grand cosmic drama of self-discovery and redemption. To fully grasp the significance of Sophia's fall, we must briefly explore the context of Gnosticism itself. Gnosticism encompasses a diverse collection of ancient religious ideas and systems that flourished in the early centuries of the Common Era, emphasizing personal spiritual knowledge or gnosis as the path to salvation. Unlike mainstream religious traditions that rely on faith and dogma, Gnosticism championed the pursuit of direct, experiential knowledge of the divine, challenging religious authority and empowering individuals to seek their own spiritual truth. The early church deemed Gnosticism heresy, suppressing its teachings and marginalizing its followers, but fortunately, key Gnostic texts, such as the Apocryphon of John and the Pistis Sophia, survived, offering us invaluable insights into this fascinating and often misunderstood spiritual tradition. The Gnostic myth of Sophia's fall serves as a powerful metaphor for understanding the human condition and the pervasive problem of evil. It offers a unique perspective on the origins of suffering, the nature of reality, and the potential for personal transformation, suggesting that our struggles are not arbitrary punishments, but opportunities for growth and awakening. In this framework, the path to spiritual enlightenment lies not in blind faith or adherence to external doctrines, but in the active pursuit of self-knowledge and the courageous questioning of traditional religious dogma. It's a journey of inner exploration, aimed at discovering the divine spark within ourselves and reuniting with the source from which we came. The Gnostic worldview carries radical implications, challenging traditional religious authority and empowering individuals to take control of their spiritual path. It rejects the notion that a single, absolute truth exists, accessible only through rote faith or adherence to established institutions. Instead, it champions the idea that spiritual truth is a personal and evolving discovery, accessible to all who seek it with open minds and courageous hearts. Understanding and integrating the wisdom of Sophia, therefore, offers the potential for profound personal liberation, freeing us from the constraints of dogma and empowering us to create our own authentic spiritual path. Understanding the Gnostic myth of Sophia demands delving into complex cosmological and theological concepts, a task that requires intellectual rigor and a willingness to explore unconventional ideas. Yet the rewards are profound: a deeper understanding of the self, the universe, and the very nature of divinity. This is not a passive process of memorization or intellectual assent, but an active exploration of inner truth, a journey of self-discovery that transforms our understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. It is about more than theoretical knowledge. It is about the practical application of these concepts to our everyday lives, seeking to embody the wisdom of SOPHIA in our thoughts, words, and actions. At the heart of the Gnostic narrative lie the core themes of imperfection, suffering, and redemption. SOPHIA's fall, though a cosmic tragedy, also creates the very possibility for human consciousness and the potential to return to the divine source. This perspective challenges the traditional view of redemption as an escape from the material world, instead emphasizing the transformation of the world and the realization of our divine potential within it. Ultimately, the goal of Gnosticism is about reuniting with the divine source, not escaping the created universe or transcending it, but rather illuminating it with the light of Gnosis. Before delving deeper into the intricacies of this myth, let us establish some essential background elements. Gnosticism emerged in the melting pot of the Roman Empire, interacting with and diverging from early Christianity, eventually facing suppression by the burgeoning church. The discovery of the Nag Hammadi Library in 1945 provided a treasure trove of previously lost Gnostic texts, revolutionizing our understanding of this ancient spiritual tradition. Scholars such as Elaine Pagels and Hans Jonas have made invaluable contributions to the field, illuminating the complex history, theology, and symbolism of Gnosticism. Furthermore, Gnostic ideas subtly influenced later esoteric traditions, such as Hermeticism and Kabbalah, demonstrating the enduring power and relevance of its core concepts. Central to Gnosticism is the concept of gnosis, direct, experiential knowledge of the divine. This is not mere intellectual understanding, but a transformative realization that shatters illusions and unlocks the hidden truths of the universe. Gnosis is the key to achieving spiritual liberation, contrasting sharply with blind faith or rigid religious dogma, acting as an ongoing process of discovery, not a one-time event or a static belief system. It is the active pursuit of truth, the willingness to question everything, and the courage to embrace the unknown. Within Gnosticism, two primary knowledge threads intertwine: the cosmology of the Gnostic universe, with its intricate hierarchy of planes and divine beings, and the soteriology, or doctrine of salvation, emphasizing personal spiritual transformation. These threads are inextricably linked, for understanding the structure of the cosmos is essential for navigating the path to liberation. By understanding the relationship between the microcosm, the individual, and the macrocosm, the universe, we can begin to unlock the secrets of our own spiritual ascent and overcome the ignorance that binds us to the material world. Across various esoteric traditions, we find fundamental patterns that resonate with the Gnostic myth of SOPHIA. Consider the Kabbalistic concept of Shevarat ha-Kelim, the shattering of the vessels, where divine light is scattered and trapped within the material world. This parallels SOPHIA's fall and the subsequent creation of an imperfect realm. Furthermore, the Kabbalistic concept of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, echoes the Gnostic theme of redemption and the potential to restore the divine harmony that was lost. Similarly, the Hermetic principle of as above, so below suggests a correspondence between the celestial and terrestrial realms, reflecting the Gnostic understanding of the interconnectedness of all things. Was SOPHIA's fall a tragic mistake or a necessary act of creation? Was the demiurge an evil tyrant or simply an ignorant craftsman blindly shaping the material world? Is the material world a prison or a potential vehicle for spiritual growth, a testing ground for our souls? These questions form the spiritual problem to be solved, the underlying tension driving our exploration. The Gnostic answers to these questions are highly unconventional, often at odds with mainstream religious and philosophical narratives, offering a radically different perspective on the nature of reality and the human condition. Embedded within the Gnostic myth of Sophia lie hidden meanings and symbolic interpretations, waiting to be unlocked through careful study and contemplation. Gnostic texts often employ allegory and symbolism, concealing deeper truths beneath layers of illusion. The most important truths are not always explicitly stated, but rather hinted at, requiring us to engage our intuition and our capacity for symbolic understanding. As we delve into this myth, we must be willing to look beyond the surface narrative and explore the hidden depths of its meaning. Throughout the Gnostic narrative, we encounter recurring themes of duality, polarity, and the interplay of light and darkness. These themes are not unique to Gnosticism, but are found in various other esoteric traditions, reflecting a universal human experience of conflict and transformation. The concept of the shadow self in Jungian psychology, for example, echoes the Gnostic understanding of the darker aspects of our nature, which must be integrated in order to achieve wholeness. Similarly, the Taoist concept of yin and yang, representing the complementary and interconnected nature of opposing forces, reflects the Gnostic understanding of the dynamic interplay between light and darkness in the cosmos. How can we apply the wisdom of Sophia to our own lives and achieve personal transformation? What does it truly mean to redeem Sophia's fall within ourselves, to heal the fragmentation within our own being, and to reunite with the divine source? Sophia's fall can be seen as a reflection of the disconnection modern humans experience, alienated from nature, from each other, and from their own true selves. Are there practical exercises or contemplations that can make us more whole and balanced, reconnecting us with the divine spark within and allowing us to heal the wounds of separation? Let's delve in to find out. The Gnostic myth of Sophia dares to suggest that the very fabric of our reality is not the flawless creation of a perfect God, but rather the complex and often chaotic outcome of a divine being's yearning for deeper knowledge. What if the imperfections and suffering we witness daily are not tests of faith or divine punishments, but the echoes of a cosmic event, a ripple effect from Sophia's fall? This radical perspective offers a unique lens for understanding the age-old problem of evil and suffering, a question that has haunted humanity for millennia. Why would a benevolent God create a world filled with pain, injustice, and impermanence? Gnosticism attempts to grapple with this question not by denying the existence of suffering, but by offering a different explanation for its origin, suggesting that it stems from the flawed creation of an ignorant, though not inherently evil, demiurge. We will focus on explaining the core elements of the Sophia myth, including Sophia's nature, her fall from grace, and the subsequent creation of the demiurge and the material world. Keep in mind that this is a specific Gnostic narrative, and while variations exist, we will focus on the most common elements. It's important to remember that this myth is rich in symbolism and is not to be taken as a literal historical account. If Sophia's fall was a divine mistake, as some Gnostic texts imply, what are the implications for our understanding of the nature of reality and our place within it? Does this mean that our world is simply the result of an accident, devoid of divine purpose? Or is there a deeper, more nuanced understanding to be found, one that challenges traditional notions of good and evil and empowers us to find meaning and purpose within an imperfect world? To begin to unravel this complex narrative, let us first turn our attention to Sophia herself. The name Sophia comes directly from the Greek word for wisdom, and in Gnostic cosmology, she embodies this very principle. She is a divine being, an emanation of the Godhead, a radiant expression of the divine feminine. Sophia acts as a bridge, a vital link between the transcendent realm of the divine and the manifest world of matter, of creation, of beings like ourselves. Understanding Sophia requires understanding the concept of divine emanation, a core principle in Gnostic thought. Imagine the Godhead, the ultimate source of all being, as a boundless ocean of light. From this ocean emanate various divine beings, known as eons, each a unique expression of the divine nature, each like a wave rippling out from the source. These eons are not separate gods, but rather aspects or attributes of the Godhead, each representing a different facet of its infinite nature. Each emanation can be understood as a lesser version of the one above it, gradually moving further away from the pure, undifferentiated light of the divine source, a kind of cascade of divine expression. These eons reside within the pleroma, a realm of divine fullness, a harmonious and interconnected web of light and consciousness. Picture the pleroma as a divine ecosystem, where each eon plays a vital role in maintaining the cosmic balance. It is a realm of pure light, perfect knowledge, and unadulterated bliss, untouched by the imperfections and limitations of the material world. SOPHIA was one of the luminous eons within this pleroma, a being of immense wisdom and creative power. However, SOPHIA harbored a profound longing, a desire to know the unknowable God directly, to penetrate the mysteries that lay beyond the grasp of even the highest eons. According to some Gnostic accounts, she attempted to do this without the consent or participation of her consort, creating a disruption within the pleroma, a ripple effect that would have profound consequences for the entire cosmos. SOPHIA's desire can be viewed as hubris, a transgression against divine order, but it can also be seen as a reflection of the human quest for knowledge and understanding, the relentless drive to explore the unknown, even when it leads us into uncharted territory. Having now established the core elements of SOPHIA's nature as a divine being, her role within the pleroma as a wisdom bearer, and the reason for her fateful fall, we are prepared to explore the tragic consequences of her actions, namely the creation of the demiurge and the subsequent shaping of our imperfect world. It's important to see SOPHIA's fall not just as a tragedy, but also as a catalyst for creation, a necessary step in the unfolding of the divine plan. To fully grasp the consequences of SOPHIA's fall, let us turn to the Apocryphon of John, a primary source for the SOPHIA myth discovered at Nag Hammadi in 1945. This text provides a detailed and often unsettling account of SOPHIA's suffering and the birth of the demiurge, offering us a unique Gnostic perspective on the origins of the universe. The Apocryphon of John paints a vivid picture of SOPHIA's anguish as she is cast out from the pleroma, her divine light dimmed and distorted. In her isolation and suffering, SOPHIA gives birth to the demiurge, a flawed and ignorant creator god who then fashions the material world. The demiurge is often depicted as a grotesque figure, a lion-headed serpent, a being of immense power but limited understanding. He is ignorant of the true God, believing himself to be the sole and supreme creator, and his creation reflects this ignorance and imperfection. The world he fashions is a pale imitation of the pleroma, a realm of illusion, suffering, and impermanence. Being a product of SOPHIA's flawed vision, the demiurge, in his ignorance, creates a world based on his limited understanding. This results in a world filled with imperfection, suffering, and illusion. The demiurge is not inherently evil, but his ignorance leads him to create a world that is far removed from the divine source, a world where souls are trapped in cycles of birth and death, and where the true nature of reality is obscured by layers of illusion. We can understand the demiurge's creation as a pale imitation of the pleroma, a distorted reflection of the divine realm. This is not to say that the material world is inherently evil, but simply that it is imperfect, limited, and subject to change and decay. And perhaps it may be that suffering is not a punishment, but a necessary catalyst for transformation and growth, a means of awakening souls from their slumber. While the Apocryphon of John provides one of the most detailed accounts of the SOPHIA myth, other Gnostic texts offer variations on the story, each highlighting different aspects of SOPHIA's experience and the creation of the material world. The Pistis Sophia, for example, depicts SOPHIA's repentance and eventual restoration to the pleroma, offering a more optimistic view of redemption and the possibility of overcoming the limitations of the material world. Despite these variations, all of these stories share common themes: Sophia's suffering, the creation of the material world by a flawed creator, and the potential for spiritual liberation. The myth is not meant to be taken literally, but rather to be understood as a symbolic representation of the human condition and the soul's journey back to the divine source. Therefore, we can understand Sophia's fall and the creation of the demiurge as a symbolic explanation for the existence of evil and human suffering. The Gnostic narrative suggests that evil is not a random or arbitrary phenomenon, but rather a consequence of the imperfection inherent in the material world, a world created by a flawed being who is ignorant of the true God. It is vital to emphasize that this is not an excuse for evil, nor is it a justification for inaction in the face of suffering. It's not about accepting the bad as the inevitable. Rather, the account provides an explanation for its existence and a framework for understanding our role in overcoming it. But what exactly is that role? That, fellow mystics, is what we'll seek the light on next. So if the demiurge's creation is flawed, imperfect, and rooted in ignorance, how did the Gnostics interpret the foundational stories of the Old Testament, the very texts that many considered divinely inspired? Did they simply reject these narratives outright, or did they find a way to reinterpret them through their unique lens of gnosis? Gnostics didn't simply dismiss the Old Testament. They ingeniously re-envisioned its narratives as a counter-history, one that exposed the demiurge's true nature and revealed the path to liberation. For Gnostics, the God of the Old Testament wasn't the supreme, benevolent being worshipped by mainstream religions, but rather the demiurge himself, a powerful but ultimately limited and misguided entity. Therefore, the Old Testament wasn't a record of divine revelation, but a chronicle of the demiurge's attempts to control humanity and keep them in a state of ignorance. In essence, the Gnostics saw the demiurge as a cosmic jailer, trapping souls within the confines of the material world, and the Old Testament as the rulebook for this prison. This interpretation was nothing short of a radical challenge to the religious establishment, a bold assertion that the accepted version of reality was a carefully constructed deception. Consider, for instance, their interpretation of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. In the traditional reading, the serpent is a symbol of evil, a tempter who leads Adam and Eve astray, causing their expulsion from paradise. But the Gnostics flipped this narrative on its head, viewing the serpent not as a force of darkness, but as a liberator, an emissary of Sophia, acting on her behalf to awaken humanity to the truth. According to this view, the serpent offered Adam and Eve the forbidden fruit of knowledge, gnosis, thereby freeing them from the demiurge's control and opening their eyes to the true nature of reality. The forbidden fruit, therefore, wasn't a source of sin, but a catalyst for consciousness, a symbolic representation of the awakening of the human spirit. In this light, the serpent's act of disobedience becomes an act of divine grace, a necessary step in humanity's journey toward enlightenment. This Gnostic interpretation fundamentally challenges traditional notions of good and evil. What if disobedience to a false god, to a being who seeks to keep humanity in ignorance, is actually a path to spiritual liberation? What if the very act of questioning authority, of seeking knowledge beyond the prescribed boundaries, is a form of divine service? The Gnostics dared to suggest that true enlightenment lies not in blind obedience, but in the courageous pursuit of gnosis, even if it means defying the established order. This perspective aligns perfectly with the Sophia myth, as the serpent's actions can be seen as an extension of Sophia's desire to enlighten humanity, to break through the demiurge's illusion and reveal the truth of the divine realm. Through the serpent, Sophia continues her work of emancipation, offering humanity a chance to transcend the limitations of the material world and return to the pleroma. Furthermore, the Gnostics often reinterpreted other Old Testament figures, casting those deemed evil by mainstream religions in a more positive light. Cain, for example, the infamous brother slayer, was sometimes viewed as a spiritual rebel, a figure who defied the demiurge's authority and sought to break free from his control. While the traditional narrative condemns Cain for his act of fratricide, the Gnostic interpretation suggests that his rebellion was a manifestation of his spiritual yearning, a rejection of the demiurge's oppressive rule. These reinterpretations highlight a central theme in Gnostic thought, the inversion of conventional morality. What society deems evil may, in fact, be a manifestation of the divine spark seeking to free itself from the constraints of the material world. By challenging traditional religious authority and offering a radical alternative to mainstream views, the Gnostics empower individuals to question everything, to seek their own truth, and to embrace their own spiritual authority. Understanding the Gnostic interpretation of the Old Testament in these terms enables empowerment and agency. It suggests that the pursuit of knowledge, even if it means questioning established norms, is a sacred act. It reframes disobedience as a potential virtue and encourages individuals to think for themselves, to challenge authority, and to seek their own path to enlightenment. But to what extent does this empowerment enable agency, and how can we apply this radical perspective to our own lives? Now let's shift our focus from historical interpretations to personal relevance. Is the myth of Sophia merely an ancient story, or does it hold a deeper meaning for our own lives? Can we see Sophia's fall not just as a cosmic event, but as a metaphor for the human condition itself? Indeed, Sophia's fall can be seen as a powerful and poignant metaphor for the human experience, a way to understand our own imperfections, struggles, and yearnings for redemption. Just as Sophia, a divine being of immense wisdom and light, fell from grace and gave birth to an imperfect world, so too are humans born into a world filled with imperfection, suffering, and illusion. We are all, in a sense, children of Sophia, carrying her divine spark within us, but also subject to the limitations and constraints of the material world, the legacy of the demiurge's flawed creation. This perspective suggests that our own struggles, our own imperfections, are not simply random occurrences, but rather reflections of Sophia's suffering, echoes of a cosmic event that continues to reverberate through our lives. Consider that the material world, with all its beauty and its flaws, can be seen as a reflection of Sophia's flawed vision, a testament to the limitations of the demiurge's understanding. The pain, the injustice, the impermanence that we experience daily are not divine punishments or arbitrary occurrences, but rather the consequences of a world created by a being who is ignorant of the true God. Our own internal struggles, our own battles with doubt, fear, and despair, can be understood as reflections of Sophia's own internal turmoil, her longing for wholeness, and her struggle to reconcile her divine nature with the limitations of the material world. In this context, our imperfections are not signs of failure, but rather reminders of our shared connection to Sophia, our common heritage as beings who carry the divine spark within an imperfect vessel. However, the Sophia myth doesn't simply offer a somber reflection on human suffering. It also provides a powerful message of hope and redemption. Just as Sophia can be redeemed and restored to the pleroma, so too can humans transcend their limitations and achieve spiritual liberation. Redemption, in this context, is not about escaping the material world altogether, but about transforming it, about recognizing the divine spark within ourselves and within all things, and about working to create a world that more closely reflects the true nature of the divine. And this transformation begins with internal work, with the courageous exploration of our own inner landscape, our own shadows, and our own potential for growth. This internal work is not just about personal betterment. It's about contributing to the redemption of Sophia herself, about healing the cosmic wound that led to the creation of the demiurge's flawed world. Think of individuals who have overcome immense challenges, who have transformed their own suffering into a source of strength and wisdom. These individuals serve as living examples of the human capacity for resilience and growth, testaments to the power of the divine spark within us to overcome even the most daunting obstacles. Consider, for example, the story of Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor who found meaning and purpose in his suffering by choosing his attitude in the face of unimaginable adversity. Frankl's experience, as documented in his book Man's Search for Meaning, illustrates the human capacity to transcend even the most horrific circumstances and to find meaning in the face of despair. His story, and countless others like it, reminds us that even in the darkest of times, the light of Sophia can still shine through, guiding us toward hope, healing, and transformation. By recognizing the Sophia myth as a reflection of our own human experience, we can begin to see our struggles not as isolated incidents, but as part of a larger cosmic drama. We can connect our own suffering to Sophia's, finding solace and strength in the knowledge that we are not alone in our imperfections. This understanding unites humanity and divinity, bridging the gap between the transcendent realm of the pleroma and the imperfect world of the demiurge. But how do we actively and intentionally engage with Sophia? How do we go about seeking this redemption in practical terms? Let's consider the practical application of shadow work as a tool for integrating the wisdom of the Sophia myth into our lives. What if shadow work, the process of exploring and integrating the hidden, repressed aspects of our personality, could be understood as a way to redeem Sophia's fall within ourselves? Shadow work, a concept drawn from Jungian psychology, offers a powerful framework for understanding and integrating the darker, less desirable aspects of our personalities. Just as Sophia's fall led to the creation of the demiurge, our own repressed emotions and shadow aspects can lead to destructive behaviors and patterns in our lives. These shadow aspects, such as anger, fear, shame, and resentment, are often hidden from our conscious awareness, buried deep within our subconscious, yet they exert a powerful influence on our thoughts, feelings, and actions. By consciously exploring these aspects of ourselves, by bringing them into the light of awareness, we can begin to understand their origins, integrate them into our personalities, and transform their destructive potential into a source of strength and wisdom. For example, consider how repressed anger might manifest as passive-aggressive behavior, or how unacknowledged fear might lead to avoidance and isolation. These patterns, if left unchecked, can sabotage our relationships, hinder our personal growth, and prevent us from achieving our full potential. Shadow work provides a means of identifying these patterns, understanding their roots, and developing healthier coping mechanisms. This process often involves confronting painful memories, acknowledging uncomfortable truths, and challenging deeply held beliefs, but the rewards are immense: greater self-awareness, increased emotional resilience, and a more integrated and authentic sense of self. Connecting shadow work to the Gnostic concept of gnosis reveals its profound significance for spiritual transformation. By exploring our shadow aspects, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and the nature of reality. This self-knowledge is essential for spiritual growth, as it allows us to see through the illusions of the demiurge and to recognize the divine spark within ourselves and within all things. Furthermore, shadow work cultivates self-compassion, enabling us to embrace our imperfections and to forgive ourselves for our past mistakes. This self-compassion is essential for healing the wounds of the past and for moving forward with greater clarity, purpose, and love. Techniques such as journaling, meditation, and therapy, when applied with intention, can be powerful tools for engaging in shadow work. Journaling provides a safe space to explore our thoughts and feelings without judgment, allowing us to uncover hidden patterns and beliefs. Meditation can help us to quiet the mind, connect with our inner selves, and gain a deeper understanding of our emotions. Therapy can provide a supportive and structured environment for exploring our shadow aspects with the guidance of a trained professional. And the deliberate practice of self-forgiveness allows us to release the burdens of the past and to embrace the possibility of a brighter future. This process is continuous, iterative, and requires patience with the self. By understanding our limitations, we can more easily break through them. By embracing our imperfections, we can transform them into sources of strength and wisdom. This personal transformation, in turn, can lead to broader social transformation as we become more compassionate, understanding, and loving individuals. This understanding not only helps to create a better world for ourselves, but also to contribute to the ongoing redemption of SOPHIA, to heal the cosmic wound that led to the creation of our imperfect world. But if this flawed creation can, through our work, find itself edging toward perfection, what does this mean for our ultimate understanding of reality? If shadow work helps us to reconcile with our darkness, is there a larger map available to us that helps us to understand our place in the cosmos? A map that illuminates the journey of the soul back to its divine origin. Indeed, Gnostic cosmology provides such a map, a complex, multi-layered system that reflects SOPHIA's fragmented state and offers a symbolic guide to navigate the realms of consciousness. This cosmology isn't meant to be taken as a literal description of the universe, but rather as a symbolic representation of the soul's journey, a framework for understanding our place in the cosmos and our potential for spiritual transformation. In essence, Gnostic cosmology offers us a profound and practical tool, but how can we use it to inform our lives? The various planes of existence in Gnostic cosmology are envisioned as progressively more refined and spiritual, reflecting SOPHIA's ascent back to the pleroma, the realm of divine fullness. The material world, the realm of our everyday experience, is seen as the lowest level of this hierarchy, the furthest removed from the divine source. This doesn't mean that the material world is inherently evil or worthless, but rather that it is limited, imperfect, and subject to change and decay. It is a realm of illusion where we are easily deceived by appearances and trapped in a cycle of suffering. The higher planes of existence, on the other hand, are realms of pure consciousness, light, and joy, where the soul can experience its true divine nature. Emphasizing this transcendence, how do we move from the material plane to these higher states? Connecting this back to the core concept of fragmentation, each plane of existence can be understood as representing a different fragment of SOPHIA's being, a different aspect of the divine reality. The material world, with its limitations and imperfections, represents the most fragmented and distorted aspect of SOPHIA, while the higher planes represent progressively more integrated and whole aspects. The goal of Gnosis, therefore, is to reintegrate these fragments, to collect the scattered pieces of SOPHIA's being and return to wholeness. This reintegration is not simply an intellectual exercise, but a profound spiritual transformation, a process of reuniting with our own divine nature and realizing our true potential. So, achieving Gnosis is akin to collecting the fragments of SOPHIA, piecing together the puzzle of our own existence. But what other systems share this perspective? Interestingly, Gnostic cosmology shares similarities with other esoteric cosmological systems, such as the Kabbalistic tree of life and the Hermetic concept of the great chain of being. The Sephirot on the tree of life, the emanations of divine energy that structure the Kabbalistic cosmos, can be seen as analogous to the eons in the pleroma, the divine beings that populate the Gnostic realm. Similarly, the great chain of being, with its hierarchical levels of existence ranging from the mineral kingdom to the angelic realm, reflects the Gnostic emphasis on the progressive refinement of consciousness as it ascends toward the divine. However, the Kabbalistic and Hermetic systems tend to emphasize a more harmonious and integrated view of the cosmos, while the Gnostic system highlights the conflict and imperfection inherent in the material world. By understanding these cross-comparisons, it becomes clear that these symbols share a common thread. But can we use this thread to understand the limitations of human existence? Synthesizing this information, we can see that Gnostic cosmology is not just an abstract theory, but a symbolic map for spiritual transformation, a guide for navigating the complexities of consciousness and returning to our divine source. By understanding the different planes of existence, the fragmentation of SOPHIA, and the goal of reintegration, we can gain a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the cosmos. This understanding, in turn, can empower us to break free from the limitations of human existence and to embark on a journey of spiritual awakening. But to what extent can we become conscious of these limitations? If Gnostic cosmology provides us with a map of the soul's journey, what are the specific obstacles and limitations that we encounter along the way? Indeed, the demiurge's realm, the world of matter and illusion that we inhabit, can be understood as a reflection of SOPHIA's limited vision, a realm of ignorance, suffering, and bondage. Framing this perspective, it allows us to understand the limitations of our own perceptions and beliefs, offering a way to challenge the assumptions that keep us trapped in a state of spiritual slumber. After all, the demiurge, in his ignorance and arrogance, believes himself to be the only God, the supreme creator of all things. This belief, however, is a delusion, a product of his limited understanding and his separation from the true divine reality. But if the demiurge believes he is the only God, what are the key elements of his realm? Key elements of the demiurge's realm are the material world, the laws of nature, time, and the human ego, each of which can be seen as limitations that keep us trapped in a state of ignorance and illusion. The material world, with its constant change and decay, is a source of suffering because it prevents us from experiencing lasting happiness and fulfillment. The laws of nature, while seemingly fixed and immutable, are actually rigid and inflexible, preventing us from realizing our full potential. Time, with its linear progression and its inevitable march toward death, creates a sense of scarcity and urgency, preventing us from living in the present moment. And the human ego, with its self-centeredness and its insatiable desire for power and control, keeps us trapped in a cycle of competition and conflict. Can we truly break free from these limitations? These limitations are inextricably linked to the core concept of suffering, and understanding this connection is vital to experiencing release. Suffering arises from our attachment to the demiurge's realm, from our identification with the material world, the laws of nature, time, and the ego. Because we believe that these things are real, permanent, and essential to our happiness, we cling to them, fearing their loss and resisting their inevitable change. This clinging, however, is the source of our suffering, as it creates a sense of separation, fear, and lack. We are afraid of death because we believe that we are our bodies, our identities, our possessions. We are afraid of change because we believe that it will take away our happiness and security. What can we do to release this tension? To illustrate this pervasiveness of suffering in the human condition, consider real-world examples of how these limitations manifest in our lives. Disease is a result of the material body's limitations, its vulnerability to illness, injury, and decay. Poverty and injustice are a result of the ego's greed and selfishness, its desire for power and control at the expense of others. War and violence are a result of the ego's fear and aggression, its inability to resolve conflicts peacefully. And death, the ultimate limitation, is a constant reminder of our mortality, our impermanence, and our vulnerability. However, we are not powerless, and we can break free from these limitations. But how? Synthesizing this information, the demiurge's realm can be understood as a prison of our own making, a world of illusion that we have created through our own ignorance and attachment. We are not simply victims of the demiurge's flawed creation, but active participants in our own suffering. By recognizing the limitations of the demiurge's realm, by detaching from the material world, the laws of nature, time, and the ego, we can begin to break free from this prison and to experience the true freedom and joy that lies beyond. But in order to achieve this freedom, what are the steps that we must take? If the demiurge's realm is a prison, how do we escape? How do we transcend the limitations of matter, time, and ego and return to our divine source? Indeed, the Gnostics believed that humans possess a divine spark, a fragment of SOPHIA's being within us that enables us to transcend these limitations. Framing this perspective, it becomes a call to awaken our inner potential and reclaim our divine heritage, recognizing that this divine spark is our connection to the divine reality, the source of our true power and potential. However, to harness this power, we must recognize our enemy. Herein lies the Gnostic concept of spiritual warfare, the battle against the forces of ignorance and illusion that keep us trapped in the demiurge's realm. However, this battle is not fought against external forces, but against internal ones, against our own shadow aspects, our own limiting beliefs, and our own self-destructive patterns. This perspective is transformative, offering a means to combat the very thing that holds us back. To achieve this, we must confront our own darkness, our own fears, and our own insecurities, transforming our perceptions and embracing our true divine nature. But what is the battle truly for? Connecting this concept to the core theme of redemption, we can see that by overcoming our limitations and embracing our divine spark, we can redeem SOPHIA's fall within ourselves and contribute to the redemption of the cosmos. After all, redeeming SOPHIA is not a passive experience, but an active process of transforming our perceptions, embracing our imperfections, and aligning ourselves with the divine will. It involves recognizing the divine spark within ourselves and within all things, and working to create a world that more closely reflects the true nature of the divine. By choosing to see the world through the eyes of love, compassion, and wisdom, we can help to heal the wounds of SOPHIA's fall and restore balance to the cosmos. What practices can assist us on this path? Practices such as meditation, contemplation, and ritual can be powerful tools for cultivating gnosis and overcoming the limitations of the demiurge's realm. Meditation allows us to quiet the mind, connect with our inner selves, and gain a deeper understanding of our emotions and thoughts. Contemplation helps us to break away from the distractions and limitations of the material world and to focus on the divine reality. Ritual provides a structured and symbolic framework for engaging with the divine, for expressing our intentions, and for transforming our consciousness. However, the practices that lead to gnosis are not always the easiest, and they often require discipline, patience, and courage. By consistently engaging in these practices, we can gradually weaken the grip of the demiurge's realm on our minds and hearts, and strengthen our connection to the divine source. What is the ultimate goal of these practices? Synthesizing this information, we see that spiritual battle is not a literal war fought with swords and shields, but a metaphorical struggle against our own inner demons, a call to action, a challenge to embrace our divine potential and transform ourselves and the world around us. Through knowledge, we find freedom, transforming ourselves from prisoners of the demiurge's realm into agents of divine love and wisdom. And through this transformation, we pave the way for our return to the divine source. But if we succeed in this battle, what awaits us? If the spiritual battle is about breaking free from the limitations of the demiurge's realm, what is the ultimate destination of our journey? What awaits us beyond the confines of matter, time, and ego? Indeed, the ultimate goal of gnosis is to return to the divine source, to reunite with the Godhead from which SOPHIA emanated. Framing this perspective, we understand that this is the ultimate act of redemption and the fulfillment of our spiritual destiny. However, this return is not simply a matter of escaping the material world and ascending to some higher plane of existence. It's a transformative process. This return is not a physical journey, but a transformation of consciousness, a process of shedding our ego and embracing our divine nature. It's not about physically ascending to a higher plane, but about transcending our limitations, awakening to our true identity, and growing closer to the divine truth. It involves recognizing that we are not separate from the divine, but an integral part of it, that our true self is not the ego, but the divine spark within us. This spiritual ascent is not a linear progression, but a cyclical process of death and rebirth, of letting go of old identities and embracing new possibilities. What happens when we finally reach the top of that mountain? Ultimately, this concept is tied to fragmentation and reintegration. By returning to the divine source, we are reintegrating the fragmented pieces of SOPHIA's being and restoring the divine wholeness. After all, spiritual transformation is about making ourselves whole again, about healing the wounds of separation and returning to our original state of unity. It involves recognizing that the microcosm and macrocosm are interconnected, that our inner world is a reflection of the outer world, and that by transforming ourselves, we can transform the world around us. Returning home is to recognize our true identity. So, what is the key to this reintegration? Discussing the Gnostic concept of the inner Christ, we can see that the divine spark within each of us guides us on our journey back to the source. Emphasizing that everyone has the potential to achieve spiritual liberation, to transform the material world by transforming ourselves, we can see that the inner Christ is not a historical figure or an external savior, but a universal principle, the potential for divine consciousness that exists within all beings. By recognizing and embracing our inner Christ, we can achieve spiritual liberation, transcend the limitations of the demiurge's realm, and return to our divine source. The integration has been achieved, but what does that mean for us? Synthesizing this information, the call to gnosis is a call to return home, to embrace our divine nature and reunite with the source of all being. It is a call to remember who we truly are, to shed our illusions, and to awaken to the truth of our existence. It is a call to make ourselves whole again, rejoining with the source and uniting with the whole. So, how do we heed that call? If the Gnostic cosmology gives us a map, a guide to the higher self, can this map be used in tandem with other esoteric traditions to achieve a more complete and nuanced view? Indeed, Hermeticism, with its emphasis on universal principles and the interconnectedness of all things, provides a powerful lens through which to understand the deeper symbolic layers of the SOPHIA myth. Framing this perspective, we can begin to see how the seemingly disparate elements of the Gnostic narrative are woven together by underlying Hermetic principles, revealing a more profound and comprehensive understanding of reality, a key to unlocking the secrets of our spiritual origins. But what are these Hermetic principles, and how do they relate to the story of SOPHIA? Dating back to Hellenistic Egypt, Hermeticism is attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, a syncretic figure combining aspects of the Greek god Hermes and the Egyptian god Thoth, the god of knowledge, writing, and magic. The teachings of Hermes Trismegistus, as recorded in texts like the Kybalion and the Corpus Hermeticum, emphasize the interconnectedness of all things and the correspondence between the microcosm and the macrocosm, the idea that the universe is reflected in the individual and vice versa. The Kybalion outlines 7 universal principles that govern all of existence: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect, and gender. These principles, when applied to the SOPHIA myth, offer a framework for understanding the underlying dynamics of the divine drama and its implications for human consciousness. But how can we use these principles to unravel the mysteries of SOPHIA's fall? One of the most fundamental Hermetic concepts is that of the all, the ultimate reality that is both transcendent and immanent, beyond human comprehension, yet present in all things. This all can be seen as analogous to the Gnostic Godhead, the source from which SOPHIA emanated, the unknowable and unmanifested source of all creation. The Kybalion states, "The all is mind, the universe is mental," emphasizing the primacy of consciousness in the creation of reality. SOPHIA's desire to know the unknowable God can be seen as an attempt to grasp the all, to penetrate the veil of mystery that surrounds the divine source. Her fall, in this context, represents the limitations of human understanding when confronted with the infinite, the inevitable consequence of trying to comprehend what is inherently beyond comprehension. But is this limitation necessarily a tragedy? To fully grasp the implications of this limitation, consider the Hermetic principle of as above, so below, which posits that the structure and dynamics of the cosmos are reflected in the structure and dynamics of the human being, and vice versa. The material world, created by the demiurge, is a reflection of the divine realm, albeit a distorted one, an imperfect mirror reflecting the divine light. Just as the human body is a microcosm of the larger universe, the demiurge's creation is a microcosm of the pleroma, the realm of divine fullness. However, due to Sophia's fall, this reflection is imperfect, flawed, and subject to the limitations of matter, time, and space. The below is an imperfect reflection of the above because of Sophia's fall, and in our human experience, it is an attempt to understand something not inherently understandable. Is it this inherent imperfection that makes consciousness possible? Synthesizing this information, we can see that Hermeticism provides a valuable framework for understanding the interconnectedness of all things and the limitations of human understanding. By applying the Hermetic principles to the Sophia myth, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the divine drama and its implications for our own spiritual journey. Sophia's fall, viewed through a Hermetic lens, is not simply a tragic mistake, but a necessary step in the unfolding of the divine plan, a manifestation of the inherent limitations of the finite attempting to grasp the infinite. But if Hermeticism offers one perspective, what other traditions might shed light on this profound mystery? Let us now turn to the Kabbalah, a Jewish mystical tradition that offers another lens for understanding the Sophia myth. If Hermeticism shows the broader context, what practical tools can we use to understand this story on a personal level? The Kabbalah, a Jewish mystical tradition, offers just such a lens for understanding the Sophia myth, a system of symbolic interpretation that reveals the hidden dimensions of reality, a path towards personal spiritual experience. Framing it this way, we can begin to see how the Kabbalistic tree of life, with its intricate network of sephirot and pathways, provides a map of consciousness and a guide to spiritual transformation, a way to navigate the complexities of the Sophia myth and to understand its relevance to our own lives. But what are the key concepts within Kabbalah that can illuminate the story of Sophia? Central to Kabbalistic cosmology is the concept of Shevarat HaKelim, the shattering of the vessels, a cataclysmic event that resulted in the scattering of divine light and the creation of the material world. Before the creation of the manifest universe, the divine light was contained within vessels, each representing a different attribute of God. However, these vessels were too fragile to contain the intense divine light, and they shattered, scattering the light throughout the cosmos and creating the sparks of potential that exist within all things. This event, the Shevarat HaKelim, is a key event in Kabbalistic cosmology, a moment of disruption and fragmentation that mirrors Sophia's fall in many ways. But how does this shattering relate to the Gnostic narrative? Connecting Shevarat HaKelim to Sophia's fall, we can see that both events represent a disruption in the divine realm and the creation of an imperfect world, a fall from grace that has profound consequences for all of creation. Just as Sophia's fall resulted in the creation of the demiurge and the material world, the shattering of the vessels resulted in the scattering of divine light and the creation of the realm of imperfection and suffering. Both traditions, however, offer a path to repairing this imperfection and restoring divine harmony, a way to heal the wounds of creation and to return to a state of wholeness. Repairing the vessels connects directly to the Gnostic theme of fixing Sophia, and in order to achieve this healing, what practices can we adopt? To better understand the path towards healing, let's consider the Kabbalistic concept of Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, which serves as a parallel to the Gnostic goal of redeeming Sophia, both representing humanity's role in restoring balance and harmony to creation. Tikkun Olam involves performing acts of kindness, justice, and compassion to restore balance and harmony to the world, actively engaging with the world to heal the wounds of separation and fragmentation. By performing Tikkun Olam, we are not simply improving the world around us, but also transforming ourselves, aligning ourselves with the divine will, and contributing to the redemption of all creation. This principle of Tikkun Olam is a practical way to apply Kabbalistic principles to daily life, just as the Gnostic journey requires a conscious act of self-perfection. Are these two ideas truly distinct? Synthesizing this information, we can see that the Kabbalah offers a powerful lens for understanding the SOPHIA myth and its implications for the nature of redemption. The concept of Shevarat HaKelim provides a compelling parallel to Sophia's fall, while the concept of Tikkun Olam offers a practical path to repairing the imperfections of the world and restoring divine harmony. Like the Gnostic journey, Tikkun Olam is about more than personal salvation. It is about actively participating in the healing of creation, working to create a world that more closely reflects the divine will. But if both Hermeticism and Kabbalah offer valuable insights into the SOPHIA myth, what happens when we weave these traditions together? Mentioning Tikkun Olam as another way to act and achieve gnosis, let us consider now how these three traditions intertwine to reveal a deeper understanding of reality. If Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah each offer a unique piece of the puzzle, what happens when we put them all together? Indeed, these three traditions can be seen as complementary, each offering a unique perspective on the nature of reality and the path to spiritual liberation, a trinity of thought that illuminates the SOPHIA myth. Framing the synthesis of these systems as a way to deepen our understanding of the SOPHIA myth, we can begin to see how they converge on certain key themes, offering a more holistic and comprehensive view of the divine drama and its implications for our own lives. However, what are the key areas where these traditions overlap and reinforce each other? The Hermetic emphasis on the interconnectedness of all things, the Kabbalistic focus on symbolic interpretation, and the Gnostic emphasis on personal spiritual experience can be combined to create a more holistic understanding of the SOPHIA myth. Hermeticism provides a framework for understanding the universal principles that govern reality, while Kabbalah offers a system of symbolic interpretation that reveals the hidden dimensions of these principles. Gnosticism, in turn, provides a personal and experiential path to realizing these principles, emphasizing the importance of direct knowledge and spiritual transformation. A Venn diagram of these ideas would show significant overlap, with Hermeticism providing a framework, Kabbalah offering tools, and Gnosticism providing the spark. But what does this synthesized view reveal about Sophia's fall? Synthesizing these traditions helps us to see Sophia's fall not as a tragic mistake, but as a necessary step in the unfolding of the divine plan, a cosmic event that ultimately leads to the creation of consciousness and the potential for spiritual transformation. From a divine viewpoint, the fall was perhaps the only logical path, the inevitable consequence of the divine seeking to know itself through its creations. The interplay of Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah offers a powerful framework for understanding the mysteries of the universe and the potential for human transformation. By combining these traditions, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of the divine drama and its implications for our own spiritual journey, coming one step closer to understanding our purpose. To what extent have these traditions influenced our modern spiritual landscape? These traditions have influenced various esoteric movements throughout history, such as the Renaissance, the Rosicrucians, and the Theosophical Society, leaving a lasting impact on Western culture and spirituality, continuing to inspire new forms of self-understanding. The Renaissance saw a revival of interest in Hermeticism and Kabbalah, as scholars and artists sought to synthesize these traditions with Christian theology and classical philosophy. The Rosicrucians, a secret society that emerged in the 17th century, drew heavily on Gnostic, Hermetic, and Kabbalistic symbolism, promoting a vision of spiritual enlightenment and social reform. And the Theosophical Society, founded in the late 19th century, sought to synthesize Eastern and Western spiritual traditions, incorporating elements of Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah into its eclectic worldview. They continue to inspire new forms of spirituality and self-understanding. What can they continue to show us? Synthesizing this information, we can see that the synthesis of Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah offers a powerful framework for understanding the mysteries of the universe and the potential for human transformation. Combining these traditions reveals greater insights and opportunities, allowing us to create a framework of personal gnosis that is both intellectually stimulating and spiritually transformative. By embracing this synthesis, we can embark on a journey of self-discovery, unlocking the hidden potential within ourselves and contributing to the healing of the world. Are you ready to begin that journey? As we draw together these threads of Gnostic wisdom, Hermetic insight, and Kabbalistic understanding, we find ourselves standing at the precipice of a profound realization, a synthesis of ancient thought that continues to resonate with the modern seeker. Having navigated the intricate cosmology of the Gnostics, plumbed the symbolic depths of Hermeticism, and ascended the Kabbalistic tree of life, let us now consider the enduring relevance of SOPHIA's fall and its profound implications for understanding our place in the cosmos. We must understand that our journey is only beginning. We've explored how the Gnostic myth presents a universe born not of perfection, but of a divine yearning, a fall that paradoxically birthed consciousness and the possibility of reunion with the source. SOPHIA's fall, though a cosmic misstep, initiated a cascade of events that ultimately led to our existence, endowing us with the potential to recognize the divine spark within ourselves and to participate in the restoration of cosmic harmony. Running through each tradition is a common thread of direct experience, spiritual ascent, and a personal relationship with the divine, which is critical to remember as we continue to explore our roles in the universe. The synthesis of these concepts is a difficult path to achieve, and we will never fully understand what we are trying to learn. Recall our initial question regarding the presence of imperfection and suffering in a world supposedly created by a divine being. The Gnostic narrative offers a counter-narrative by suggesting that creation stems from a divine being wrestling with longing, which in turn created the flawed demiurge. This narrative is not isolated, finding similar sentiments in the Hermetic emphasis on the all and the Kabbalistic notion of Shevarat ha-Kelim, each offering a unique perspective on the origins of imperfection and the potential for redemption. Consider how far we've come in our understanding, how deep we've dug into the esoteric to find these truths. This challenges us to reconsider our conventional understandings of the divine will, and to realize that the imperfections around us may very well be the echoes of a cosmic longing, the reverberations of SOPHIA's yearning for the divine. This understanding allows us to see that morality isn't cut and dry, that even those figures deemed villains may be working towards a higher goal, and that morality can be a matter of perspective, depending on how we view creation and the roles we play within it. This perspective is one that can be expanded to all aspects of our lives. The story of SOPHIA serves as a reminder that our own experiences, with their imperfections and pain, are intrinsically connected to a larger cosmic narrative, that we are all a part of something greater. Through our exploration of Gnosticism, Hermeticism, and Kabbalah, we have come to appreciate the profound wisdom embedded within these ancient traditions, realizing that the universe may not have been created intentionally, but that we have the power to right that cosmic wrong within ourselves. With this knowledge, you are now empowered to embrace the imperfections and chaos of your own existence, and to see them as opportunities for spiritual growth and transformation, recognizing that the path to wholeness lies not in escaping the flawed world, but in engaging with it consciously and compassionately. This is why understanding our connection to a higher self is so vital. Thus, the redemption of SOPHIA begins within each of us, as we strive to illuminate the darkness and restore balance to our own souls. The fall is not the end, but only the beginning, an opportunity for us to learn and grow and become closer to the divine. This knowledge isn't simply handed to us, but is a hard-earned truth that can be applied to other areas of our lives. I encourage you to delve deeper into the Gnostic texts, the Hermetic writings, and the Kabbalistic teachings, and to discover the wisdom that resonates with your own soul. What are your interpretations of Sophia's fall? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'm eager to hear your insights. If you found this video helpful, manifest your engagement by hitting the like button, subscribing to the channel, and turning on the notification bell. It is now clear that the Sophia myth, far from being a mere historical curiosity, offers a timeless message of hope, redemption, and the potential for human transformation. A message that continues to inspire and empower seekers of truth across the centuries. We set out to understand why there is imperfection and suffering in the world, and we have found that the Gnostic answer, though unconventional, offers a powerful and empowering perspective. May the wisdom of Sophia guide you on your journey, and so it is.